we should be live. All right. Well, we are live. Welcome, everybody. We are representing today the authors of the National League of American Penwomen today in our Santa Clara County branch. So hopefully you can all see us, and I'm going to make sure everything is operating correctly. So, anyways, so hi everybody out there on Facebook watching us today. And I am Marcia Sivek. I am the secretary of the Santa Clara County branch of the National League of American Penwomen. And I am also a host of a podcast called Be Provided Conservation Radio. That's why you see that on my title there. And I am just proud to host this panel today of amazing women and authors and friends of our Penwomen branch in Santa Clara County. And they all have recently published some books that we're going to be talking about today. And they'll be giving you stories and readings about their book as well. So just to give you a brief background about the National League of American Penwomen, it was founded in 1897 when women journalists were not permitted to join male-only professions and professional organizations like journalism, etc. And the league became, and this was started in Washington, D.C., the league became a professional organization for women writers, artists, composers, authors, you name it, so they could be recognized for their talents as well. So we are all members of this amazing group in Santa Clara County, like I mentioned, and I was just checking to see if we were live. And so we're trying to, bring awareness to our group and to also promote young artists. So typically in a non-pandemic year, we hold an annual celebrity luncheon where we raise funds for scholarship awards to young women graduating from high school, undergraduates, ladies returning to school to pursue their career in art. But with these challenges this year with the pandemic, these in-person events are non-existent, as we all know. So we are just showcasing our talents, and we would like to bring awareness to our group. And at the end, we have our branch president here as well, Luanna, and she'll be talking a little bit more about our group. And if you would like to find out more information, please visit our website at www.NLAPW.santaclara.org. And I will post this in the comments as well on the Facebook page. So anyway, that's enough about that. So today we are going to be, each of these wonderful women are going to be talking about their books. So if it's showing up correctly, to my right is Luanna Leisure. She's our branch president. And underneath my photo is Tina Jones-Williams. And then next to her is Mary Miller Chow. And then Patricia Dennis, our vice president, branch vice president. So we're going to start with Tina today. And Tina, I would just have you just tell us about your book and start with a reading. And just to let everyone know, we're going to be taking questions after everybody has presented their book. So you can comment in the comment section of the Facebook page or wherever you're watching this, and I should be able to see your questions. If we don't get all your questions, we can answer them afterwards. So I will let Tina take over, and as she's getting ready, I'm going to show you a copy of her book cover and her author storytelling series, or her walk down memory lane poster here. So she has a book called A Delicate Balance, and take it over, Tina. It's all yours.
Thank you. Maya Angelou, Georgia O'Keeffe, Eleanor Roosevelt, Mary McLeod Bethune, Patricia Dennis, Luanna Leisure, Mary Chow, Marcia Sivek, Tina Jones-Williams. Because we are Penwomen, I am able to say our names in the same breath as the names of these extraordinary women. And if I don't, who will? We are all pen women. I'm the author of 8 books. 7 are based on the all-Black working class neighborhood where I grew up. When people ask me what my books are about, I say they are about people and relationships, which mean they are about everything and nothing. A Delicate Balance, my most recent book, is the 3rd and final book in my Bridge to Freedom series. The series takes an intimate look into the lives of Violet, a domestic day worker, and her husband, Everett, a Pullman porter. Both jobs were the first paying jobs available to freed slaves and became iconic in the Black community. Both were legacy jobs, coveted and passed down from father to son and mother to daughter. I'm going to be reading a little bit from A Delicate Balance. I'll start with the prelude, which is from Violet's diary. Our community is steeped in history and expectations. The Banks and Washington family homes stand like sentries, facing one another, charged with guarding our values and our secrets, creating a fortress, ensuring that nothing undesirable find its way in or out. We are reminded daily that we are building upon a legacy that was started long before any of us were born. From the prologue, 50 years. If you asked anyone who knew them, without hesitation, they would reply, Everett and Violet are among the lucky ones. Their union is blessed, never any issues. By all outside accounts, their years together have been happy. Of course, casual observations and outside opinions are based on facts, not in evidence. Only the 2 people in the marriage are equipped to have input or pass judgment on their marriage. Everett and Violet Banks have known each other since Violet was born. They grew up together, attended the same schools, were members of the same church. Their families were in the same social circle. Today, Everett and Violet have been married half a century. In the quiet moments as they prepare for their anniversary party, they look back on the days that shaped their life together, the days that shaped a lifetime. This is a day. Even years later, there are memories that make a person break out in a cold sweat. Everett has one. Whenever it creeps up, even now as a grown man, he becomes anxious, lightheaded, and his brow and hands become damp. It happened when he was a little boy, no more than 3 years old. It was on a Saturday when his father was home, which was a treat. His father, Arthur Banks, a Pullman porter, was often away working on the rails for as long as a month at a time. So in Everett's book, any day that his father was home was a treat. On that particular Saturday morning, and with the promise of a surprise, the children had gotten up early as instructed and dressed in their Sunday best. They had hurried through breakfast and scurried into the car without any idea of where they were going. The car ride had been leisurely, and Everett's parents, also dressed for the occasion, had sat in the front seat and absently chatted. The children in back had sat close to one another in order to make whispering easier as they shared giggles, excited guesses about where they might be going. For most of the drive, the traffic had moved along briskly until they joined a long line of cars that seemed to be headed to the same place. Once at the front of the line, Everett's dad rolled down the window, handed a man $1, and was directed to a parking space. The parking lot was nothing more than a large dirt patch with rows and rows of parked cars that all faced a large tent. Here we are, Mr. Banks proclaimed jovially as he parked in his assigned spot. Everett remembered being confused and unsettled by his father's declaration. He had been certain the dirt field facing the tent couldn't have been their final destination. Try as he might, Everett couldn't imagine why they had dressed up to go to a tent in a dirt field. As they got out of the car, Everett's confusion turned to discomfort. He remembered grabbing hold of his father's hand as they walked toward the giant tent. With every step, Everett's discomfort grew. When they reached the entrance and took a step inside, and despite still holding his father's hand and his father's reassurances, Everett felt anxious and lightheaded. Inside, enveloped by jarring sights and sounds, Everett's discomfort had reached almost panic level. Everything felt foreign and frightening. There were men in shabby clothes with brightly painted faces, men and women on swings high above the ground and watched over by a man with a whip, were animals, some in cages and others ropes tied around their necks. Just as they found their seats, a voice boomed, "Welcome to the greatest show on earth." To his complete horror, Everett had started to cry. His father had tried to comfort and soothe him, but between tears, he shared his fears. "It's all in good fun," his father had said. "The people and the animals are happy to perform for the crowd." For the first time in his young life, Everett hadn't quite believed his father. He didn't see how any of it could be fun, particularly for the animals. Maybe for the first time, he questioned his father. "If they are so happy to perform," he asked, "why does the man need a whip?" To Everett, everything about the greatest show on earth had been bad. But it was when the man had started to walk on the thin wire high above their heads that the sweat began to trickle down his neck and under the collar of his shirt and from his armpits down his sides. Everett had tried to look away, but he couldn't. He was vested in the man's safety and thought if he kept still and paid close attention, perhaps the man who walked on the thin wire above the arena might not falter. At the age of 3, Everett wondered what would be worse, walking on a thin wire or falling. At the age of 3, Everett decided that you need other people to help prop you up. At the age of 3, Everett discerned that life is a delicate balance. I appreciate your time and your attention. If you'd like a closer look into the lives of the people I write about, you can find my books on Amazon. Just type in Penguin Tina Jones. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Tina. I'm looking forward to reading that. I love Everett, I think. I totally kindred spirit for sure. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. And if anybody has questions afterwards for Tina, please just type them in the comments. And so now we're going to go and we're going to listen to Mary Miller Chow. And she has a book called Death on the Funeral Lot. I can't talk today. I'm sorry. A 1950s San Francisco mystery. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you very much. I thought first I'd read the description on the back of my book and then tell you a little bit about what brought the book together and then read just a few parts of it. Jane Kittredge dreams of being an attorney in San Francisco during the 1950s. She puts herself through school, graduates close to the top of her law class, and easily passes the bar. But positions are few for women in the male-dominated legal field. With her savings depleted, she has no choice but to take a position as secretary to flamboyant attorney Jay Lucas. In 1959, he falls to his death from the deck of the dearly departed while dispersing the ashes of his lover into the bay. Was it an accident? So what brought this book together? Well, first of all, I love mysteries, and I love San Francisco. I enjoy research in history. I have a degree in American history from Syracuse. The 50s was a great time. I mean, World War II was over. There was a lot of prosperity. Business was booming. We walked around with knee socks and Bermuda shorts and black and white shoes. And I was Jane. I was the character in this book. And then there was my cousin, Susan, a larger-than-life woman who died before her time. She didn't want to die, but if she had to do it. She planned on going out royally. And she chartered a yacht out of Sausalito, where we wined and dined and eventually dispersed her ashes into the bay. And all that came together into this novel, The Funeral Yacht. So I'll read just a few bits. It began in 1950. I had worked for pennies as a secretary receptionist at an insurance company in San Francisco while attending school at night. It wasn't easy, but I did it, barely making enough money to support myself in a small studio apartment. After earning my bachelor's degree, I continued on to law school, where at the age of 28, I graduated with a Juris Doctor degree, one of two females in my class. I easily passed the bar exam. Elated, I gave notice and started my search for employment as an attorney. Day after day, I mailed applications and walked the streets, submitting my resume to one law firm after another. But San Francisco was a bastion of male lawyer supremacy, and the few offers I got were piddling. I watched the male members of my graduating class find employment easily. I gave notice and started. Finally, on the last day of November, employment as an attorney. Day after day, I mailed applications and walked. I'm kind of hearing myself repeating things.
That's sorry. Yeah, the video just popped up. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Mary.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's all right.
It's done.
Finally, on the last day of November, after a miserable Thanksgiving, my phone rang. The office of J. Lucas, one of the most prominent attorneys in San Francisco, was on the line. I rose, patted my tangled hair, smoothed down my dress, and followed the receptionist through the double doors to a room reeking of bay rum aftershave and cigarettes. J. Lucas rose from behind a large glass-covered mahogany desk and motioned for me to sit. I guessed him to be in his 40s. He was a tall, handsome man, his hair a distinguished salt and pepper color, cut in the style of the movie star, Tony Curtis. He wore a single-breasted, sleek Italian suit molded to his body. He had my resume in his hand. In the last 6 months, I've received 3 of these, he said. If I've gotten that many, so has every law firm in San Francisco. You don't give up easily. He lit a Chesterfield with his reptile, skin-covered Ronson lighter, inhaled deeply, and let the smoke waft out in my face. I called your law school and spoke with your professors. They told me you are exceptionally intelligent and one of their best students, but will never go far because not only are you boring and mousy, you have no look whatsoever. He took another drag. I don't mind having a boring and mousy, unattractive girl working for me, but not out front. Your office will be in the back. My legal secretary has been terminated, and I need to fill the position immediately with someone familiar with the law and very good. But I don't want to be a secretary, Mr. Lucas. I applied for a position in your firm as an attorney. He stared at me. You should rethink your position and consider my offer to be somewhat like one of the law clerks that work for a chief justice. A woman cannot make it as an attorney in this town. I'm doing you a favor. You can tell your friends you work for J. Lucas. Besides, I know you need a job, and I will pay you well. He was right. I was down to my last $100. I accepted his offer. And now she's trying to find a new job after working there for so long. She really wants to be an attorney. The biggest problem I faced finding a new job was the barrier placed in front of female attorneys, not only by their male counterparts, but society in general. Sadly, less than 3% of attorneys were women in the 1950s. Companies were happy to hire girls as clerks or secretaries, but not for higher positions. Many had written policies that women could not make as much as men. They could not be upgraded to better positions if men were available to fill them. Nothing had changed since 3 years earlier when I had looked for work. And at that time, I was sure with my credentials and enthusiasm, I would find a job. I wasn't alone in my quest. Sandra Day O'Connor, who graduated in 1952, close to the top of her class at Stanford, sought employment as an attorney, but was offered a position as a legal secretary. Ruth Bader Ginsburg graduated first in her class at Columbia in 1959. When she applied to a large number of firms in New York City, she received rejections from all. Both women would later become United States Supreme Court justices. I think that should tell you a little bit about this book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't read that book either, so I have a lot of reading on my nightstands right now. But that seems very fitting for our pen women, I think, and the challenges they face getting recognized for what they do sometimes. So that's great. Thank you so much. And where can people find your book?
You can find my book on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and at lulu.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And we have some pen women saying hi on Facebook to everybody. So, so hi, everybody. So I'm now going to introduce the Vice President of our Santa Clara County branch of American Pen Women, and that is Patricia Dennis. And she has a book, and I'll post it here and show you, Chasing a Pink Cadillac. So we're interested to learn more about that, and I'll let you take it away, Patricia. Thank you.
Thanks. So first of all, a little bit about me. I'm a photographer and I'm a writer. And if you put the two together, I'd like to say that I'm a creator of visual poetry. And my photography right now is shown at Aegis Gallery in Saratoga, Coastal Art League in Half Moon Bay. And I've authored Dreamlight, a book of photography and poetry, Kerplunk, a children's book, Pink Cadillac, and I'm currently working on another one called Count Your Blessings. So I learned early on that putting pen to paper and writing about your experiences enabled the lessons to be learned more digestible and also to be cataloged for future reference. And the material for Pink Cadillac was many years in the making. And contrary to the belief, it is not a book about Mary Kay, but it is a book about chasing the dream of success. It's for all of us that dream of being our own boss and then stepping back and wondering, what happened? Why didn't it work? It's about setting attainable goals and boundaries. And it is my personal story, but I would venture to say that there are many, many of us out there that can relate to it, because we all have at one point the inability to say no. I mean, how many times we've fallen for that great sales pitch, and the problem of setting boundaries. So we all have the potential of being an open sieve to the lurking marketeers out there. And that means collecting, collecting, collecting. So I'm going to read a small excerpt from my book. And here we go. I sat on the windy, grassy hill, surrounded by crows, and tried to remember when it all started. When did I become lost in my addiction? For some people, collecting is simply the quest. In some cases, a lifelong pursuit that is never complete. I collected multi-level marketing business like a hobby. Or did I simply succumb to the lure of auto ships and bargains? Maybe it was the need to belong to a club, any club. Regardless of the reasons, it was time to face the facts. I had a serious problem. I had no boundaries, and certainly no realistic vision of success. I was sure I wasn't the only one facing these demons, but that didn't resolve the issue. I was still on my own up here on this windy hill. I was a victim. True, it was of my own making, but I was a victim just the same. I was a collector of bargains and failed multi-marketing attempts. For me, it was a dark path that I struggled to escape from. The mantra of be your own boss hovered over me like a little dark cloud. It was a path that had no boundaries. Sure, it had started simply enough, but now it was out of control. I was broke. People turned the other way when I walked into a room. Life was just not fun anymore. Family and friends had always jokingly called me their little bargain hunter. If you want to find the best deal, well, you call Tricia. It was a badge that at one point I was kind of proud about, but now it felt like an albatross hanging around my neck. I shivered. When did I become so immersed that I lost myself searching for things to fill the void? So we've all been there. The day when you open the closet and have things come tumbling down and you wonder whatever possessed you to want to accumulate so much, right? I mean, I'm sure, come on. And our society is one of convenience. Shopping and automatic shipments are made so easy. And I don't know about you, but for me, it was kind of like Christmas every day. I couldn't wait for that thing to come in the mail. And the end result, it was too much, out of control, and wondering why. And during my life, I found that collecting had always been an issue. And the dramatic incidents of these 3 years in which this book took place really were the accumulation of a turning point for me. It wasn't easy to look at, and it took a lot of moxie to admit it. And it wasn't about the product or the people that I liked or didn't like. It's what prompted me to be a part of everything that came around and abandon the ship before I ever had a chance to succeed. And Chasing a Pink Cadillac is about the issue that many of us face as we search for our own American dream, an abundance of stuff, and a simple inability to say no. How different our lives are when we finally know what's really deeply important to us, and keeping that picture in mind, we manage ourselves day to day and do really what matters most. I wrote these stories, and I truly hope that in the end, after reading them, you can relate to them. And the simple message is value yourself as that special commodity. We all have the potentials of being the owners of the pink Cadillac. And hopefully we turn around and when we open that trunk, it's clean. So thank you. That's my story about chasing a pink Cadillac.
I love that. So it is a good book. I really enjoyed it. So Patricia, thank you. And where can we find your book as well?
This book is also available at lulu.com, and I believe right now through the 15th they have a 15% off.
To the 15th of just this coming Saturday, right? Yeah.
I think it's tomorrow. What's today?
Or wait, tomorrow. Yeah, today's the 14th.
Yeah, exactly.
My days are going crazy. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
www.lulu.com, and you type in Chasing a Pink Cadillac.
Awesome. Thank you, Patricia. So now we are on to Luanna Leisure. She is our branch president. So we welcome her. And today she's going to be talking about her newly published book, Ledra's book. And it's showing here on the screen. So, yeah. So, Luanna, you can tell us a little bit about yourself and the book and take over the show. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marcia.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. Okay, I've been a member of the National League of American Penwomen since 2012. Our Santa Clara County branch was established in 1922, and next year we will be celebrating our 100th anniversary. And it seems like our national headquarters, like Marcia mentioned, was 1897, so that's like 124 years, something like that. I love to write. So my membership is in letters, but I also have my credentials in art as a photographer. And like Marcia mentioned, I am the current president of our Santa Clara County branch and have been since 2018. I would like to invite, I'm going to put a little pitch here. I would like to invite all professional and paraprofessional women in the arts, whether you are a painter or performing arts, a writer or musician or a composer, to become members of the National League of American Women. You will be a part of a league of women who promote and support each other in the arts. And our core values are respect, knowledge, creation, and the preservation of arts. So you can message me on Facebook or leave a message here for Marcia or for me, and we can get you in touch with becoming a member of our branch or any branch throughout the United States. I published my first book 9 years ago. It took me a good 4 years to write and rewrite the manuscript before actually being published. It's a fiction mystery drama for middle school students, Mystery at Lone Oak Ranch. Since then, I have published 2 children's picture books, Quack Quack, I Want My Feathers Back, and Best Buds, and a book of memoirs also from, I'm a member of Louise Webb's memoirs class, and the members of this class had never been published. So Patricia's in it, and I was able to publish a book for our class. It's called Best of Our Memoirs. Now, my latest book was published just this last year. It's a memoir about my mother entitled Ledra's Book. It's a collection of her poems, songs, jingles. It's photography. It's a genealogy. I wrote this book to honor her, to share her dynamic life and her poetry. She was an energetic, determined lady whose values were to live right, love my dad, and share whatever she had with whomever was in need. So I'll read just a little bit. It's a memoir, so this is very personal and from my heart. When I first compiled a book of my mother's poetry, songs, and jingles, all my siblings were living. There were 6 of us. Now my sister Cheryl and I are the only ones left. I'd created the book for them mainly to keep Mom's poetry, songs, and jingles she loved in print, so our family would remember what a fun, creative person she was. Another reason was to honor her for her achievement when she was only 7 years old, when she took 2nd place in a grade school contest. Her teacher had her memorize a portion of a book, Mary Carey by Kate Langley Bosher, published in 1910. As a note of interest, Kate Langley Bosher was a suffragist and founding member and officer of the Equal Suffrage League of Virginia. She made me think of my mom. From the time I have memories of Mom reciting her poetry, she would recite this funny, adorable story. She would even act it out as if she were Mary Carey. In 1993, before Mom became too forgetful, even though her poetry she seemed to always remember, I sat down with her, and as she recited, I wrote. I then compiled a folder with all of her writings. And I'll skip down here. I decided to name this book Ledra's book. She once told me, "None of you named your babies after me." I didn't want to hurt her by saying she had a very different name, one I didn't want to name my daughter. So now I wish I could tell her about my new book. But as any author knows, that by the time you finish a book, it is your baby, and I think she would be pleased. In the pages of Ledra's book are her original poetry and songs written by my mom. Also included are jingles and songs she learned as a child, very old-fashioned things. You wouldn't hear them today. But as I can remember, but at any moment, as growing up, at any moment I could remember, at any time of the day, she would sing these songs and recite this poetry with so much gusto. She was very happy to do it. Mom always had a poem or a song in her heart, even when her heart was sad. I've added photographs of Ledra's life along with my memoirs and thoughts. Also included are my sister Cheryl's memories of Mom and memories of her grandchildren. I'll read one more little part here. It's not long. Mom was a survivor. She endured many hurts and hardships over the years, but there were many wonderful times too. She always loved her children and grandchildren. They were a delight to her, and she loved to feed them. But the most difficult time in her life was when Daddy died. On that sad day, the family was over. As usual, Mom had fixed a wonderful meal. Daddy was not feeling well. They had just returned several days previously from a trip to Missouri where Dad had emergency surgery and was still recovering. I was engaged in planning a wedding for the very next month. I left the house to go visit my soon-to-be in-laws. When I arrived, I had a call to rush back home. When I drove up, I saw Daddy being put in the back of an ambulance. He died of a massive heart attack that night on August 6, 1967. Mom was paralyzed with grief. She was in shock. As you read through the pages of Ledra's book, you will see the years of devotion and love the two had for each other. They were children when they married, ages 15 and 19. Can you imagine that? And they stayed married through all the good and difficult times. They never once stopped loving each other. Gradually, she began to start living again. She had faith in God, which helped her, and she had all of us kids too. When my husband was drafted to Vietnam, Mom made me move back home. It never entered my mind to not do what she said, even though I loved my little apartment. As time went by, can you believe it, she even had a date or two. I would call her to make sure she made it home okay. The tables were turned. But it was good to see Mom enjoying life. Her strength gave me strength when I went through a divorce many years later. She was there for me and my children, a safe haven, comfort, and always a good meal of fried chicken and peach cobbler. Thank you, Mama. My books are available also on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Lulu.com, and other sources. I don't know where they come from, but they're out there. It's out there everywhere.
Wonderful. Thank you, Luanna.
You're welcome.
So many talented people I am in the presence of right now. I'm so impressed. Thank you. Thank you. So that concludes our showcase today. I don't have any questions yet. There's been some comments, though. If you'd like me to go over a couple, I certainly can. So we have some pen women on here as well. And Susan says, your reading was delightful, Tina. Thank you. And she cannot wait to read your book, Mary. And Patricia, she's heading out to clean her closets when this is over. She knows exactly what you mean. So
don't look back at me.
So I just thought we could conclude here, or if any of you have anything you want to say about your experience with being a pen woman and any advice to other authors, if you want to offer that, feel free. But yeah. I just want to thank you from my heart that it's been such an honor to be a member of this group with you all. And you're so talented. I'm just so impressed. But anyways.
I like the versatility. We had, memoirs. Then we had fiction kind of mixed with memoirs. And then plain fiction, it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful to see the variety of how we write. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So, if we can conclude here. Do any of you have anything to say or want to say? So this will
I just would like to thank you, Marcia, for putting this together. It was very thoughtful of you.
Thank you.
I love the format. And oh, by the way, talking about talent, behind your shoulder there are two of your,
Yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yes. As you know, I'm an artist in the group. I'm not a writer or author. I have took my jab at writing on occasion, but maybe in the future. But thank you, Tina.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to showcase your books and thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you everybody for putting up with
thank you.
Our first production.
Thank you, Marcia. Very
you're welcome.
much.
So we'll get better at this as we go along. So, and sorry to interrupt you're reading Mary with my computer going here. So, but if you ladies want to stay on, I'll end the broadcast if that's all right. And
okay.
But everybody, you should be able to find the recording under Facebook, and it will also be downloaded to YouTube as well. So,
thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll finish. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.